Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Great. How
Thanks
are
for being
you?
patient.
No problem.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're running for office, and just a little bit about why you chose to run.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah Henry, and I'm running for Florida's House District 38, which is in southern Seminole County, and covers a lot of like Altamont Springs, Castleberry, Fern Park, sort of that part of the community just north of Orlando. And
So
I'm running.
we've been doing this statewide, and you're one of the few people in the Orlando area. So I'm excited.
Yes, yeah. We are running to flip a seat that has been held by a multi-term incumbent at this point. And I'm running, I think that so many of the reasons I moved to Seminole County, exceptional public schools, beautiful green spaces, affordable housing, I could afford to buy a place. We're seeing that kind of disappear, especially under kind of 30 years of one party rule in Tallahassee. And so that frustration kind of got me involved. I also work in the nonprofit sector. That's where I've spent my whole career. And so I've been right kind of on the front lines of where policy misses, and the private space has to fill in that gap. And that was so kind of energizing that I got involved locally. I served as the president of the Young Democrats of Seminole County, and then made the decision that the most important thing we could do with our time is build a better community, and running for office is one sort of manifestation of how to do that.
I love that. I love that. I'm seeing so many people make that transition from really just being out there, being canvassers, working hard to make the change, and then realizing that, all right, you really can make change as the
Yeah.
elected official. And
Yes.
and that's not something in the past that people did. So I'm super proud that you guys are doing it.
Oh my gosh, no. The best advice I give someone who's thinking about running for office is to go watch whatever chamber or body you're trying to join, you think you might be able to add something to, whether it's school board or city commission or even the state legislature, is to go and attend a session and think if you could do it better. And in most cases, the answer is yes.
And just jump into that ring and try to be the change you want to see.
Exactly.
That's just the best example. Now tell me about what's important to you in that district that you just feel that's the thing that needs changing up there. That's the one main thing.
Yeah, so one of our critical economic drivers is our public school system. Most of Central Florida is pretty reliant on tourism as an economic indicator, but we actually differ slightly in that space and rely in large part on the attractiveness of our strong public schools to bring young families to the area. And so a lot of the relentless sort of attacks on our public education system are really concerning to me as a community member and as hopefully as a member of the legislature. And when we talk about sort of what's ongoing, I think one of my significant concerns is around sort of this artificial salary compression that that the legislature created for our teachers. We now have first-year teachers making a base salary with a pretty significant increase over the last couple of years, which is fantastic and absolutely well-deserved. But even our best laid plans, right, have some stumbling blocks. And what has happened is because those salaries are linked to our veteran teacher pay, we've got teachers with 20 years of experience making, $1,000 or $2,000 a year more than our first-year teachers.
Wow.
It's insulting. And it's not livable in Seminole County for folks who have been in the workforce for 20 or 25 years. And so we see veteran teachers leaving the classroom. And we actually know that one of the best indicators as to whether or not a new teacher stays is if they have a strong mentor relationship at their school. And so, we can keep raising rates for new teachers, and that's fantastic. But unless we're providing them with strong support systems, they're still going to leave. And so to me, it's really important that we sort of correct the stumbling block in that legislation and create a system that allows increases in veteran teacher pay that matches their experience and the expertise that they bring to the classroom.
Makes sense. It makes sense. You wonder why there's, as you called it, the suppression of the pay when there's so many vouchers for kids to leave the public
Yeah,
school system to go to
yeah.
private school. If that was to be applied to teacher pay, because
It's very, the voucher implementation across the state has been exceptionally frustrating. I mean, we know that a vast majority of the families taking advantage of that voucher system had already enrolled their children in a private or charter school. And so in reality, those vouchers, they're not scholarships, they're not hands up, for students in need. They're coupons for
yeah,
families who can already afford a significantly higher priced education. And it's a disservice to every single child enrolled in public schools, because those schools that receive those vouchers, they don't have to participate in the same programs, they don't have to hold the same standards, they can discriminate against kids for IEP modifications and things like that. And so we don't get, it's not a fair educational system.
yeah.
And unfortunately now we're subsidizing it as a taxpayer.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, especially when we know that education is one of the best investments we can make in our state economy. A strong primary education is an incredible indicator of a community's long-term economic health. And so the fact that we're willing to throw what our communities will look like in 10 years down the drain because we want to appease the voucher, charter school industry, it's very frustrating.
And you make such a valid point. I think as everyone ages or comes into Florida in a different stage, or like you have probably grown up here and you're now looking at building a life here, right? And so it's that the school system, really, you're tangibly aware that helps build a stronger community. I know me coming in here as an immigrant, people used to say, well, Florida, the education system isn't great and the healthcare system isn't great. Like those were the two things that really were just told to us so hard that you were told, don't move here, don't move to Florida because of that. That it's good to hear folks be really mindful that yes, if we really want to attract quality talent and people to our areas, then we do have to provide this as
well. I'm a transplant too. I'm from the Midwest originally. So I moved to Florida when I was 18. And yeah, just fell in love with the state. I also fell in love with a Florida boy. So that helped. And I think once you're here, it's really hard to leave.
It is, and especially I think this Orlando area for some reason. Yeah. I said that for some reason when I came here, I just felt like I felt home. I felt like home hit me, and I don't know what it is. And so that's it. It's so interesting. There's so many reasons to be involved, but that's a big reason that I'm involved in elections this year, is because I'm like, oh, I will fight for this state. Because I mean, you guys could look at us from outside and think I don't know what you think, but people think a variety of things.
Yeah.
But it's actually when you live here, you freaking love it.
Well, and that's why we deserve a legislature that does fight for us, that is representative of our communities. I mean, the Florida State Legislature, just the House, almost half of the members are millionaires. Okay, well, half of the Florida population are not millionaires. And so it's a challenge to ask folks who don't have any understanding, don't have any lived experience with what it's like to worry about how you're going to pay the bills, to understand what the average Florida family is going through. And I think that's why we need more young people. I think that's why we need more women, more renters, more diverse voices who can lend additional perspectives to our legislation, and frankly, who are willing to fight about it. I think
that's the truth. That part.
Yeah. Yes. I very much come from a family and a community where we encouraged disagreeing and negotiating and compromising. I think that's how you get to the best answers.
It is how you get to the best answers. Yeah, that is exactly why the system's like this. Or
you hear everyone's voice. And we don't have that in Tallahassee. We have a legislature that rubber stamps our governor's single person perspective. And it just doesn't work for most people.
Well, the truth is, as you said, and very rarely does anyone's single perspective work best.
Exactly.
Compromise is the best thing. You end up with the best bills.
Yes.
And so I completely agree with you, man. Completely agree with you. Great. And I actually want to tell something to our voters who are listening here. You said something. You said nearly half of the folks up in Tallahassee are millionaires. And people need to remember this position is hard. You guys have to travel to Tallahassee. You get
That
paid
may be the hardest
not
part.
a lot of money.
Yes. No,
And so,
it is a full-time job and a part-time salary. Absolutely.
yes, it's a serious. It's this one is not for the weak, and people need to realize that if they don't pay attention and vote in the right people, why would millionaires be that interested in that position? Because it really affects how you live in Florida. It has serious power in that office. And so I want our voters to understand that part. They have an opportunity to vote for who they want, so they need to turn out and vote for the right people.
Yes, that's what, we knock a lot of doors. We've knocked about 13,000 doors here in the district, and that's what I tell people. Not everyone's going to agree with me, but I want you to remember who came to your door, who asked you what you're worried about, and most importantly, I want you to vote. It is, to me, it's the bare minimum of participation in our democracy. It's one of the greatest rights and opportunities that we have. And so it's up to us to continue to exercise that right and not lose it. And so I just think it's absolutely critical.
And while I'm being bipartisan, I do want to say shout out to the Sam Dems, because you guys are rocking it this election season.
Thanks. Yeah, our DEC is very active. We're very lucky to have them here in Seminole County.
Y'all are doing a great job.
Thank you.
So Sarah, before we wrap, tell folks how they could donate to you.
Yes, it is so important. These races are ludicrously expensive, and coming from the nonprofit world, it about makes me sick to my stomach thinking about what we could do with this kind of money. But unfortunately, that's the name of the game. And
it never used to be this expensive. It never used to be, but it is seriously expensive.
More now. Every cycle. Yeah. So you can check me out, learn more about me and the campaign, and make a contribution at sarah4fl.com. So that's Sarah with an H, SARAHFORFL.com.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for joining us. Good luck. And we will probably cycle back and have you on again and join us.
Sounds great. Right? Thank you so much.
Thanks.